Hello, 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 and welcome. My name is Lee Cara. This is a version of Unleash Your Light. Today is November 4th, 2020. So if you're watching this in the future, you already know. You already know what's going down. But today we are in the pre-moments, the moments before, the time before. We are living inside of Schrodinger's box right now here in the States. Hi, Mama Bear. We are living in Schrodinger's box right now, and I felt it was super important to come in here while we are still living in Schrodinger's box before we have a decision in one direction or the other. I felt that it was so important for us to speak about forgiveness, to speak about duality, to speak about empathy, to speak about the space within each one of us that made a choice, the space within each one of us that chooses how to speak to others, the space within each one of us that chooses empathy for others in this very strange moment that we find ourselves in. So, grab a drink, grab a snack. One of my favorite YouTubers says that every single time she comes on the air. Grab a drink, grab a snack, and let's get started chitty-chatting about this space that we're in. I'm going to have a drink. I hope you guys are having a nice morning. I guess it's not really morning here anywhere. I am on the East Coast of the United States, so technically it's, I don't know, 1 something, almost 2 something. But for me, especially since our school is, especially since our schools are not in session and I don't have to get up at 6 a.m. with my senior son, our day starts about midday now, so that's always a good thing. Of course, you could share. Please share out as much as you want. Thank you very much for the compliment about grammatical loving. I don't know what that means, but I thank you for it. I have good days, I have bad days, and I know that all of the people who watch me are understanding of my neurological speech dysfunctions, although today they seem to be rolling pretty well, so I'm feeling very inspired. All right, so here in the States, our election was yesterday, and this is not a political post. That was why I put in the top of the post about forgiveness, duality, and it doesn't matter which way you voted to watch this video, because I'm not pointing fingers at anyone. I'm not arguing with anyone. This is for unity. This is not for division. This is for how do we move forward after this space, no matter which side it falls on. As I said, we are living in Schrodinger's box right now. We in the States are living in Schrodinger's box, and we do not know if the cat is alive or if the cat is dead. We are all living in this space of having an opinion on it. We want it to be either alive or dead. I don't know. I'm not going to say which one of the votes is alive and which one is dead. Y'all can decide that on your own. But what we will have at some point in the near future is a clear decision, a clear president, a clear leader that we either voted for or did not vote for. And in that space of victory, or in that space of loss, how do we react? How do we react? And what do we do moving forward? No matter which way it is that we voted, no matter which outcome of Schrodinger's box we are rooting for, whether we want the cat to be alive or whether we want the cat to be dead, we still have to live a human life tomorrow, next week, next month. We still have to live. If you live in this country, you still have to live with the outcome and the effects that it will have on our country. If you live in another country, you are also probably affected by what happens here in some way, shape, or form, because the United States has had their little fingers in everything that went on in the entire world for a very, very long time. Not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just saying that's a thing. So the outcome of this Schrodinger's box affects everyone. And not just on a physical level for democracy and government and freedoms, but also on a spiritual level. And not just with those who understand spirituality, but also with those who do not. There's a huge portion of this country that doesn't believe in all this woo-woo spiritual stuff that I'm into. And if you're watching, that's cool. You don't have to. But the way that people will utilize this victory in one way or another will affect the energy, the collective consciousness of our country, of our planet, of our world. Because sportsmanship, gloating, anger, frustration. I am not a Christian, so sorry. I don't call myself a Christian. I believe that Christianity is too limiting, so maybe you want to retract your friend request. Peace to you. This space and this energy that we give to these results will affect everyone, even if it's not in a direct way. Now, a lot of us are separated from other people, so we don't have that much opportunity to go out and do whatever. But no matter which side wins, there is a large portion of the supporters for that side that will be aggressive, that will be with the I told you so energy, that will be gloating, that will be mocking, that will be demeaning, that will feel empowered by that. And I'm saying both sides. So if we go on the liberal side, there will be people on the liberal side that if Joe Biden wins will be mocking and ridiculing what they see as uneducated hicks voting for Trump, ridiculous conspiracy theorists who voted for Trump, people who have been tricked, people who are like there will be a portion of the liberal side that will have that energy. But there will also be a portion of the conservative side, although I don't know that I would call them conservatives anymore, of the Trumpist side, that will also have an energy of gloating, an energy of told you so, an energy of gotcha, who will use this as an opportunity to bully, to demean, to cut people down, to insult people, to allow their racism to run wild on both sides. And this is why this video is for everyone. I want us all to look at this objectively. I want us all to take a moment to step out of whether we are blue or red. We already made a choice. You made a choice. If you voted, if you're here in the States, you made a choice. And now moving forward, each one of us is accountable and responsible for how we respond to that choice. Each one of us is accountable and responsible for how we move forward, for the words that we choose, for the actions that we choose. And anger is not appropriate to express. Can you be angry about it? Hell yeah, you can be angry about it. But how do you then express that to the person across from you? How do you express your joy, your excitement at winning to the person across from you? How we move forward will determine a heck of a lot, spiritually and in the greater collective conscious. Because that energy of superiority, of gloating, that space where anger and superiority and gloating and gotcha and I'm better than you and you're an idiot, that will affect all of us. That will affect all of us. no matter which side it falls on, whether you are on the winning side or whether you are on the losing side. How we treat the losing side, whether we are on it or not, and how we treat the winning side, whether that is our side or not, will determine how this country and how our human populace moves forward. Unity, forgiveness, empathy. Now, how do we do this? I know that a lot of the people watching me are very big conspiracy Q whatever followers. I don't know if I get censored for saying that, but I'm live, so. And I know that a lot of them believe that Trump is the person who is going to save all the children, or however it is that you guys put it. I'm not going to go into it. I also know that I have a lot of people who believe that Trump is eroding personal freedoms in our country, that he is empowering racists. And that is also true. Both things can be true at the same time. I had this conversation with someone on my page, that you can choose to believe that he is going to liberate children from sex trafficking and cannibal rituals, and believe that the side that is supporting him in the 3D America is also eroding the rights of people who are gay, of people who are of color in this country. Both things can be true at the same time. So standing up for either side doesn't make someone a bad person. These conversations that have happened over the past several years, really, a lot of it has been, my side is 100% right, and if you don't agree with it, then you're a bad person. By villainizing the other side, you no longer have to listen to anything that they say, right? If you just automatically say, you're wrong and you're a bad person for believing that, you don't have to listen to them. And we do that in our regular life. So let's take this down on a smaller level, into our personal lives, okay? Someone in your family does something to you that you feel is horrible. They say something to you, they do something to you, maybe they smack you, it's a big argument, it's a horrible thing, maybe they call you names, maybe they stole from you, whatever it is, okay? And you look at them and go, they are a bad person, and I don't care what they have to say about their why. And if you agree with him, then you're a bad person too. Or if you agree with her, then you're a bad person too, and I don't want to talk to you either. And that person tries to talk to you and tries to convince you, you know, they had a reason for doing what they do, and they believe that that was theirs in the first place, or they believe that you actually did X, Y, Z, and they believe that with all of their heart. And you say to them, there's only one side of this story, my side, and my side is right, and if you don't like it, then you can get the F out. When we look at this space, thanks, Kat, when we are in this space in our personal life and we shut down our open mind to believe that only our side is right, period, done. And if you agree with that side, you're 1,000% wrong. If you agree with them, then you can get to step in. You have closed down your empathy, you have closed down your forgiveness, and you have closed down your unconditional love. And those are the three things that I call the spiritual trinity. Unconditional love is the energy of God, of the light, of divine, of Fred. It doesn't matter what you call it as long as you are seeking it. Unconditional love is that energy. And no matter what side of the argument you come down on, you have to be accountable for your own expressions and your own integration of those energies into what is going on, right? So when we close our mind and say that side is 100% wrong and they are horrible people for believing that way, and if you agree with them, then you're a horrible person too, you immediately shut down your open mind. And this is for both sides. This is not saying that one side is right and one side is wrong. Like I said, I'm taking this election and I'm pulling it into our personal life so that we can recognize how accountable we are. We are living in Schrodinger's box right now. And this Schrodinger's box right now, the cat is either alive or dead, and we don't know the answer. It is both alive and dead, and we don't know the answer. We are living in Schrodinger's box at this moment. And how we move forward from this is up to each one of us. And so back to this personal situation where you have now villainized the other side. Okay? So let's look at the other side. The other side looks at you and thinks that you snuck into your dying grandparents' house and stole stuff from them. Took things out of there that you wanted for yourself. And then left and didn't tell the family. Okay? So that side has a full belief that they are right, that you are a miserable lying thief who stole from our grandparents. How dare you? And anyone who sides with you is a horrible person. Anyone that sides with you is a lying, cheating, stealing son of a bitch too. Right? And if you agree with that, then you are too. I love you, Kat. So neither side is listening. Neither side has an open mind. Neither side has an open heart. Neither side is willing to use their empathy to try to understand why the other person believes the way that they do. And to figure out where the common ground is. Okay? So in our personal life, in this personal example, if I, as the person who took the things, looks at the other person and says, they're horrible, they're terrible, they did this and I can never forgive them and I don't care what they have to say, then we never get a resolution. We never get to a place where we are getting along. We never even get to a place of closure between us, right? Because we still may disagree, but at least if I understand where the other person is coming from, then I'm able to use my empathy to understand it and to say, okay, I get where you're coming from. So in this example, one side believes that their grandparents said, hey, take what you want. Take what you want. We're passing soon. We love you. We know you've always loved that thing over there or that little statue or that thing. Take what you want. And the other side thinks you went in and stole from our grandparents and didn't tell us. How do we come to center ground when we villainize the other person? This is the space that we are now in with this election. This Schrodinger's box is about to be revealed. This Schrodinger's box is about to be revealed. Is the cat alive or is the cat dead? And how we react to that is going to determine a lot moving forward. And of course, we're going to have our feels, no matter which way it goes. We're going to have our feels about it. We're going to have our space of mourning or celebrating about it. But how do you treat those who disagree with you? How do you move forward with those who have disagreed with you? Because we've shown that up until now, we don't. We don't find a center ground. We're not finding a way to get along. We're not finding a way to create unity. We are rather creating more division. So how do we take this Schrodinger's box and decide before it is opened to not embrace superiority, to not embrace mocking, to not embrace laughing at others, and rather to embrace a space of empathy, to embrace a space of forgiveness. And once again, for those of you who don't watch me very often, forgiveness does not mean you are saying what the other person did is okay. Forgiveness does not condone what another person does. Forgiveness is recognizing that they have that divine energy within them too, even as they choose to do something that you think is unforgivable. They are still carrying a piece of the light, piece of God, whatever you call it. They are still on a journey just like you're on a journey. They are still doing things that they believe is right based on the life experiences that they have had, based on the energy and the things that they have gone through. They are making a choice based on that. They aren't doing it to hurt you specifically. They aren't doing it to get you specifically. It's not personal about you specifically, but it reveals them. It reveals themselves. People can only express and learn as far as their perspective will allow them. And people have used that against me in conversations to say that that is why I can't see the whole conspiracy thing. That's why I don't believe that Mr. Trump is the savior. We can only understand as far as our perspective will allow us. And we have to recognize that other people are in that exact same space. And moving forward, no matter which side wins, we are accountable for the way that we express that to others. We are accountable for the way that we express our opinions to others. And we are accountable for how we judge how others express it. Because if we are watching, if Mr. Trump wins, if President Trump wins, and his followers go on another blockade, hanging out the window with guns, shooting into the air, screaming and yelling, cursing people out, vandalizing LGBTQ rainbow flags, and harassing people of color, if that is the choice that they make, we have to figure out how to respond to that, not in anger, but rather in empathy. And I know that that is a very difficult thing to do, but that is the journey that we are on here. That is the journey that we are on here. They are responding that way because for once in their lives they feel empowered. For once in their life, or as a pattern in their life, that they feel empowered by belittling other people. They feel empowered by having power over someone else, by feeling like they are superior because perhaps when they were children they felt so small. Someone in their life made them feel small, and now they feel the need to be dominant, to be powerful, to carry a gun, to ram cars on the highway, to make fun of those who are different from them because they feel different inside. And so to have empathy for those who feel that way, to have empathy for those who feel like they are threatened by people of color just by their very existence, we must switch to empathy, because when we express anger to them, they put up a shield, they put up a wall, they put up a weapon, and they're ready to defend themselves. They aren't listening. They aren't feeling. Empathy for someone who disagrees with you does not mean you agree with them. Just like in our families, yes, practice radical empathy. Just like in our families. I use Uncle Dave, old grizzled Uncle Dave, who is racist and sexist and, shushes everyone and dominates every conversation and makes fun of people who don't do what he likes to do. But we still love Uncle Dave, because Uncle Dave is still our Uncle Dave. He was the same one that, took us to the state fair. He was the same one that held our balloon while we cried because we were throwing up from going on the tilt-a-whirl. He's still Uncle Dave, and we still love him. And even though these may be strangers that are acting out like this, we can watch them and have empathy for them. And we'll go vice versa. If we go to, if Mr. Biden won, if Vice President Biden wins, and the people on the left are told you so, and you stupid rednecks, and we're so much smarter than you are, if they take that superior way of doing things, right? If they start taking to the streets and celebrating, if it becomes a big, blocking traffic because there are hordes of people out there, dancing and loving and hugging and doing whatever, and that pisses you off. Because now the children are gonna not be saved. Or whatever reason it makes you mad to look at that. We have to look at that from a space of empathy. We have to look at that from a space of trying to understand that these people on the left feel like they have been marginalized. They feel like they have been oppressed. They feel like their freedoms have been taken away from them. They feel like they have been living under a rule that has not allowed them to be free. And so when you look at them from that point of view, you can see why they believe that Biden is going to help them gain their freedoms and to not be oppressed. In exactly the same way that those who believe in Trump think that he is supporting their freedoms. Now, they want freedoms for very different things, but they really don't want freedoms for very different things. And this is the next space that we're going into in this conversation. Because looking at each side of the coin, both sides want the exact same thing. They just believe that there are very different ways to get there. Both sides want freedom. Both sides want democracy. Both sides want peace. Both sides want a strong America. Both sides want a nation that we can be proud of. Both sides want to love their country, to love each other. Both sides want us to be prosperous. Both sides want us to rise. And yet, each side has a very different vision of how to get there. And I know that this is frustrating for people because the way that they are expressing what they want is very different. But they can only express what they have experienced. They can only express the perspective that they have gained by the life that they have lived. And so it makes it a very tricky space to be in. But it also makes it a very hopeful space to be in. Because just because you want to take two different roads to get there doesn't mean that the destination isn't the same. Now, for those on the left, they see the followers believing in Trump, but they don't believe that Trump wants the same thing as followers do. And some of them even don't believe that the followers want freedom for people who are of color and people who are gay. But that's a small portion of those on the right believing that way. That's a small portion. There are some on the right who believe that way because the KKK votes on the right. The KKK voted for Trump. Neo-Nazis voted for Trump. So there is a portion of the right who has that oppressive process in their mind, that oppressive goal in their mind, and they believe that Trump will get them there. But the majority of people on that side just want a free country. And from their standpoint, things weren't so bad because they can only speak from their own experience. That's why those who are speaking out on the left about police brutality or about ingrained racism or about discrimination, they don't look around and see the same country as those on the right do. And that's why they see very different paths to that same goal. Because one of them is driving through rocky potholes and the other one is driving on a brand new highway. One of them is going through the mountains and one of them is driving along the beach. It's all the same country. It's all the same goal. They're all heading to the same spot. But the view that they have on the way there is so different that they don't believe that they share a common destination. And because of that, it causes discord when you're trying to tell those people over there, there's nothing wrong with this country. I look around and see everything fine. And it causes discord when they look at the other side and say, everything in this country is messed up and people are being discriminated against, and I get stopped 5 times on my way home from work because I'm a person of color. Neither side is able to see things from the viewpoint of the other. And that is where our empathy comes in. That is where we have to not villainize the other side and assume that they are all terrible, because both sides are doing it. And when we're living in this Schrodinger's box, we both have to learn to live with the outcome, whether the cat is alive or whether the cat is dead. Especially if we want to move forward as a united country. Especially if we want to move forward on our united goals, which are personal freedoms. We all want personal freedoms, which are personal accountability. We all want to and should be accountable for our own actions. Equity, so that we are being paid fair wages. That affects both sides. Being paid fair wages, having a house, being able to live in a way that has a little bit of dignity no matter what job you do. That affects both sides. And yet, we argue about it. People who have nothing point the finger at other people who have nothing. People who are working in minimum wage jobs point the finger at others and say, get a better job. And we do it on both sides. How we move forward in a post-election world will determine so much as to how our consciousness, our shared emotions, and our shared experience plays out. It is not all about what the presidents do. It is not all about which one wins. It is more about how we deal with it moving forward. And coming from a space of superiority, of laughter, of gotcha, of I'm smarter than you, ha ha ha, told you so energy, never good for anyone. I want to take it back to a personal level. When we are having an argument with someone that we love, or a disagreement with someone that we love, and it turns out that that other person is right, and they start laughing and dancing around and pointing the finger at us and saying, see, I told you so. Having that kind of an attitude, what does it do to you personally? What does it do to you? How does it make you feel? You get angry at them? Does it feel good? Do you like it when they bring it up every single time you see them the next time? No matter which side wins, no matter which outcome, whether the cat is alive or dead, one of the sides is going to have the opportunity to have that kind of energy. But that energy is exactly what brought us to this space. That lack of energy, or of empathy, that lack of understanding of where the other person is coming from. But if we can look at the other side and understand where they're coming from, and then identify our common goals, that's how we get there. You don't have to like everyone. You don't have to agree with everyone. But this is America, and we have to respect their right to believe that way, even if we don't respect their viewpoint. And not only is this America, but we live on a free will planet. We live on a sovereign planet. And each of us can choose how we want to go through this life. And whether you think you are on the side of righteous good, or whether you believe, I just don't want to have conflict, both of those sides have to embrace unconditional love. Both of those sides are accountable for how they express that righteous good. The preacher that stands on the street corner and yells and calls people whores of Babylon believes that they are doing right. Every evil villain in every evil movie believes that they are doing what is right for the world. I just want peace, and to do that I'm going to blow everything up. And then they'll find peace because I will make everyone be peaceful with my rule. If everyone just agrees with the president, then there wouldn't be a problem and we would all get along. Right? But that's not what our planet is about. Our planet is not about being in lockstep with everyone all the time. We are not a utopia. We are a learning planet. And in that space of being a learning planet, we are a utopia. Being able to have personal thoughts, being able to have experiences that are unique to this body and this energy, this soul, at this time, is a unique experience that will never, ever be repeated, because the next time you're here, you'll be someone else. The next time you're here, you'll have a different situation. The next time you come, you'll have different challenges to go through. I spoke about this on the reading that I did yesterday. It was actually for today. And it was speaking about transformations and how it seems like we're constantly having to go through transformations over and over and over again. It seems like every time I turn around, there's another challenge. What? That wasn't enough. I have to do more. There has to be more there. And one of the cards that I had pulled was Seven of Wands reversed. And having that Seven of Wands with the transformation card really made me think about this saying of Jesus. And those of you who are not Christian, that's okay. You don't have to be Christian, because in the spiritual practice, most people who are spiritual believe that Jesus was an ascended master, and that he is along the lines of, say, a Buddha, a Muhammad, a Confucius, all of those people that channel the message of unconditional love. So they believe that he is one of those. So there's a story. I'm not a Bible scholar. Don't tag me. Where one of the disciples is asking, but how many times do I have to forgive my brother? 7 times? And Jesus' answer is yes, 70 times 7 you have to forgive. 70 times 7 is kind of like the spiritual words for infinity. Infinity times you have to forgive. That is the space that we are in right now. This transformation that we have to go through over and over again. How many do I have to go through? 7 transformations? How many times do I have to go through this? 70 times 70. Infinite transformations. Because every epiphany that we have, every recognition that we have, changes everything moving forward. As soon as we have that epiphany, everything changes in our life, and we move forward. And if we have another epiphany 20 minutes later, everything changes again, and we move forward. And this is what we are constantly doing in our life. We are taking in information, we are learning something about ourselves, or we are processing something about the world around us, and then we move forward based on that information. And in those transformations comes the fruit of life, comes our quality of life, comes our connection with unconditional love that is inside each and every one of us. So no matter which side of this election you end up on, no matter which side, which outcome Schrodinger's box that is America has right now, no matter which side, recognize that we are all sharing the same destination, that we are all sharing the same experience, and looking at it from different angles. And you can always learn from someone else's perspective and use it for your own transformation. And you can always learn from looking at yourself and using it for transformation. Every person is on a personal journey, and every person has to be accountable for their own reaction and the way that they treat others in this post-election space, and how we move forward. And as we have seen for the last several years, months, anger does not move us forward. It blocks the flow. And there are some who do not know how not to be angry. But if you recognize yourself being angry, breathe a little. Step away for a moment. Do some reading on it. Watch some videos about how to overcome your anger, about how to process it in that way, about how to use it productively. Work on your empathy, seeing that the other person is acting out of their own pain, out of their own lives, out of their own experience. It's not personal to you. They aren't doing it to you specifically. And so to personalize your anger about the situation is exactly what that other side is doing when they are acting out in anger, when they are acting out in domination, when they are bullying, when they are pointing the finger and laughing, because they have made it personal about them, that they now get to push outwards their pain onto you. And recognizing that on either side is a huge thing. When you recognize that someone else's oppression of you is not about you personally, but rather it's about them, it changes the way that you view it. And it changes the way that you react to it. And each one of us is responsible for that. Each one of us is responsible for saving the world. Saving the world. Because each one of us can choose love instead of a reaction of anger. Each one of us can choose empathy instead of a reaction of being so revolted, of being so frustrated. Each one of us can choose empathy. And again, it does not mean that the other side is right. It doesn't mean you have to agree with their viewpoint, but recognizing that it comes from their own experiences of this world can really change how you interact with them and how you dialogue with them or how you choose to move forward. And the more of us that adopt this attitude of empathy, the more we change the world. Because understanding that the other person has the same destination as you do, freedom, peace, personal freedom, abundance, everybody wants the same thing. We all just believe there's a different road to get there. Once we agree that that is the destination, then we can look at the road we're taking to it and see if it's actually going to lead there. But we have to do it from a space of empathy and not a space of anger. Don't personalize what has happened. Don't take it personally, the anger that is directed at you. It is your responsibility. It is your accountability for your reaction and what you put out there and the snarkiness that you deliver your comments with and the anger that you give to someone else who disagrees with you. That's your responsibility. That's your accountability. Think before you write something. Am I creating unity or am I creating division? Am I seeing this from a space of empathy or am I seeing it from a space of superiority? It's not an easy thing to do, and nobody's perfect. Have an opinion. Write about your opinion. But there's no need to be superior. There's no need to believe that your way is the only way. That indicates something in you that still needs to be healed when you think that your way is the only right way there is. Because all of life is a duality. And there is never just one way to do something or to accomplish something. All right, y'all. I'ma go. If you're interested in getting my book, Unleash Your Light, there is a link in my profile. It is $2.99 online, and you get a cute little download for it. You can also get it in a book form for $9.95 plus shipping, as well as I am doing daily readings in a group called Likera, Self-Focused Tarot Readings. So if you want the link for that, I will drop it somewhere nearby or reach out to me. I post every single day over there. So I love you guys. I love you, no matter which side of this situation you fall on. But we are living in Schrodinger's box. Use kindness. Use empathy. Use forgiveness. Recognize the duality as we move forward. Choose your words wisely. Choose your energy wisely. I told a little friend on the TikTok, I do the TikTok, and last story, there's a young lady on there who is very emotionally connected to the outcome of the election. She is an LGBTQ person in her, I guess she's 20 or 21. And yesterday she was crying and crying on her video because she was terrified for what was going to happen next, whether it be war, whether it be the loss of her right to love the person that she wants to love, her right to get married to whomever she wants. And she was crying about it, and she didn't know how to process that. And the advice that I gave her, I think, is apropos to finish this video off with. The advice that I gave her was to imagine yourself growing to like the size of a giant and wrapping your arms around everyone that is out there voting, or everyone that is out there in pain, everyone that is out there raising their arm in victory, raising their arm in anger, and give them a big hug. And let them know that you love them. Let them know that they are safe. Let them know that they are loved. It's a difficult thing to love those who are angry. It's a difficult thing to love those who you think are wrong. It's a difficult thing to hold unconditional love for those that you feel are committing atrocities, oppression, hatred. But that is exactly where our energy of unconditional love needs to flow. That is exactly where our energy of empathy needs to flow, is to those who disagree with us, is to those who are doing things that we consider to be abhorrent. That's where our energy needs to flow. Because if you only give unconditional love to people who agree with you, what good is it? What good are you doing? But sending it to those who would curse you out, sending your love to those who would hurt you, sending your love and your energy, you're channeling that energy of God. All are forgiven. All are forgiven. And by doing that, we are channeling that energy. And the more that you can give that love to those who society views as most abhorrent, to those who are committing the worst atrocities, the more that you can share the unconditional love of God with them, even if it's just energetically, the more you change the world, the more you change them. Because imagine 1 million people sending loving, comforting, safe energy to a Hitler, to someone who is turning to the darkness to gain power. They're doing that because they feel powerless, because they haven't felt the love of the universe, the love of God. And if 1 million of us, 2 million of us, 10 million of us embrace, utilize, and point that energy at those who are the most damaged, it opens our own pathways. It opens our own experience. And it does affect those who are living in the darkness and the pain of their own personal hells. It's not an easy thing, and a lot of spiritual people disagree with me. But I think it's going to be more important than ever for us to do that. Because there will be a lot of residual anger in this country and in the world, no matter what the outcome of this Schrodinger's box is. Choose love. Choose forgiveness. Choose empathy. Choose to channel the energy of the light, of God, of Source, of Creator, who opens its arms to all people, whether they are doing good or whether they are doing evil. We are all God's children. We are all beloved. We are all learning. You are beloved. You matter. You are loved.